neutralize the acid so the reaction stops. So that's what we're going to do is like at 30, 35 minutes, just throw it in there because it takes, 12 minutes to run the whole test, but it takes about 6 minutes to get to this point, plus prepping the sample. So it's like you can miss your window if you're in here prepping the sample. So we need to figure out exactly just which time it is, which won't be hard at all. And then you can see we overshot a little bit because we came in here and we're like doing our test. We're like, oh shit, we need to go stop it. So we stopped.
All your CBD is gone.
Yeah, all the CBD is gone. We probably got about, 1 to 2 ratio of CBD delta 9. And then this one, that's a little more stronger shot. That's just a shot of a larger sample load. CBN is always going to be a bigger peak. But it can be the same percentage. It just reacts to the light differently. It's got a different response factor. And then that has to do with its molecular weight and all kinds of stuff like that. And since cannabinoids are all almost the same molecular weight, that's why they all come out different. And that's why THC.
And it's like their evolution of their interaction through the pollen.
Yep.
I do some labs like when you send them Delta 8, they don't come back as a compliant Delta 9. When you send it to somebody else, it might come back as a compliant, because I see like THC 9 is right there and then THC Delta 8 is right there. So I'm like, maybe that's why they get that confused.
Because they alluded to
I don't really
saying
understand that stuff.
And then there's other isomers too, that are being made. So
there's things that.
So you've got these other 2 humps here. So I think one of these is like XO THC, and there's other
XO THC,
and they're other just isomers of THC.
I think it's the idea that if you're trying to, these 2 peaks, they are overlapping.
Right.
You can even see here like
they're overlapping in most chromatograms.
So in order to get them to not do that, you have to change the method, and it just takes more time.
So most haven't changed their methods. They're using old methodology.
No. It's just a different method. But for like different.
There's no standard methods in cannabis.
When you're trying to look at different things, you use different tools or different ways to look at them. And so when trying to look at isomers that interact with mostly the same molecule, you need to give them more time through a column to separate so that you can then quantify them independently.
Bro, that's a question. That's a question that we have to put on the YouTube for sure.
You know how to make tea? Do a screw press and all that? Like a Bigelow tea.
Oh yeah, formulating teas is like where I started.
Okay, I need that for not only Bloomble, for like the gazillion stores we have. Every one of these C stores has a coffee or tea setup. So I need to package it exactly like a Bigelow box.
So tea bag, like bags.
Yeah, like individual packets, like a normal Earl Grey or something like that.
Yeah.
We did it last year with novel tea and special tea. Mm-hmm. That's what we called it, novel tea, special TEA. It really is the same setup 3 times.
So for this approach, I'm kind of envisioning like us basically setting up a tincturing process for kratom, evaporating it down to a crude, testing the crude for its alkaloid content, and as also just us interacting with it physical property-wise to say like if we start scaling this up, how are we going to handle this concentrate? Like we developed so many things for CBD and hemp extracts, and they're very tricky with the right technique. We know how to deal with it. And then from that standpoint, identifying like, do we need to purify further? And then based on that answer, we'll figure out methodology of purification that might happen on the front end by changing the extraction methodology or doing post-extraction refinement. Involving kratom and alkaloids is that these alkaloids tend to have more solubility in oily or high alcohol solutions if it is acidic. And as alkaloids get more basic, higher pH, they tend to be more water soluble. So we can kind of like manipulate those concepts.
Yeah.
And if we want to, say, get our alkaloid, just these specific alkaloids into, a high alcohol phase, we'll stick with 95% alcohol as solvent. But if we're identifying that we're losing a good amount of those total alkaloids because they're not being brought in with enough water, then performing 40% alcohol extraction might be a reasonable approach, as opposed to trying to change the pH. I think we're actually trying to make a crude. We're trying to make really crude for kratom, not isolate these individual alkaloids, primarily because they're actually quite dangerous when it comes to toxicology.
It's such high concentration.
It's such high concentrations. Like, these alkaloids are very potent. They're very, very potent molecules in ways that we do want to be very cautious of. So right? We want to map out all these ways to purify these compounds, but we'll essentially incorporate into things like capsules to increase the potency, so we can use less stuff to deliver that effect.
We know exactly where to cut it. We know exactly when to stop. So we have the methodology. Now we just need to take the actual process and go down to these numbers. The first graph showed delta 9 peak, delta 8, and then 5 minutes later it switched. And then after we do that, we can get a higher yield from the delta 10 because we have less delta 8. The less delta 8 we have, the more delta 9. Because we went too far, we had more delta 8 than delta 9, so all the availability of the delta 9 was converted. The next part of, if we have something like this, you would distill off the delta 8, because delta 8 and delta 9 are two different boiling points. So you distill off the delta 8, you would have a high CBN delta 10 oil, you would then crash that out, you would have your delta 8, and then you would have your minors from the crashing. So you're basically making 4 different cannabinoid products out of this one process. CBN isolate, delta 10 isolate, delta 8 distillate, and a minor cannabinoid full spectrum oil. We have no other real peaks except for CBN, delta 8, and delta 10. So you literally are isolating just 3 compounds. But you will have a mother liquor that has trace components of who knows what. XO-THC, delta 6A, 10A, which we don't have a standard for.
Delta
THC,
6A,
acetate,
10A.
You know,
So you talking some
Let's go. Put a smile on my face.